Baby, what a thrill! Woo! Oh my God, man!
Oh, it feels good.
That was crazy. All those things we did, that was crazy. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets Draft Recap. Powered by Red Hawk Roofing. Support your local team means supporting local businesses. If you are looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out our guys at redhawkroofing.com or call 720-771-8921 and tell them DNVR sent you. Guys, I'm not just a spokesperson. I'm also a client.
Wow.
So I can say I can give a personal sort of testimony here.
Which
absolute homies.
Which are you better at? Are you a better client or a better spokesperson? Because you're not a very good
sure. No, it's definitely spokesperson. When they're here, I'm just like, yeah, can you guys go around back?
You're like,
no shoes inside, please.
I noticed there were some mud tracks on the driveway.
Yeah, exactly. If you guys could just
hose that
take care of that. We got a great show for you. CT Fazio is going to be joining us here momentarily. He'll also probably hop in at the end of the show. If anything happens, he'll help us break everything down. But look at the squad I got tonight.
What?
D-Line Co. back from Serbia.
That's right. I'm back. Stateside, everybody. Listen, the last time I was asleep, it was in Serbia. Was that yesterday? Was that tomorrow? I don't know.
Was it tomorrow?
I don't know. I don't know how time works. I don't know what's going on.
Did you enjoy it out there?
Man, it's beautiful. You know what I like?
Serbia.
Christina. She's great.
I was going to say, there you go.
She's great.
Also here, Superstar Dev.
Man, day 2 was so exciting. Listen, have you ever been watching a show or listen, this not have you been watching? I was watching a show. Didn't really want to watch it. My lady wanted me to watch a bit more of it, so she said, wait. Yeah. The good part's coming.
It gets better. Yeah.
The good part never came.
Yeah.
That's what happened with day 2. You're waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
It never happens.
Yeah.
What was that?
That was such a good example. That's exactly what this was.
I was like, yo.
They're like, stick with it. It starts off slow.
I'm telling you, it gets better. And I was like, oh, everybody else is doing something.
You gotta make it to season 3. That's the worst. That's the worst. The whole first season is bad, but it's worth it after that.
It's laying the groundwork, dude. It's laying the groundwork.
This was a 2-part draft night. We had yesterday, nothing. We had today, nothing. Not a surprise. As the Nuggets weren't going to do anything, man. They only have 3 roster spots. Were they going to trade, do this or that? It's not a surprise, but other teams did some stuff, and the Nuggets picked up their first, or have announced their first two-way guy. To help us break all of that down, we are going to bring in our draft expert. Everybody, you know him, you love him, CT Fazio.
Yeah.
We always have like a 5-second lag before the mic catches in. Do we have you now?
You hear me?
Yeah, we got you now. There you go. Well, CT, we're joking about how we did not enjoy season 1 or 2 of the NBA draft this year. But I know you did because you like these guys and you have to help us break it down. So let me just ask this. Now that you've seen both rounds, what teams do you think won the draft this year? I know it's early to make that prediction, but who won the draft in your opinion?
Yeah, I think the Spurs to start, taking Harper at 2, and then taking Carter Bryant at mid-lottery pick as well, 3-and-D wing. Harper obviously is going to be a pretty good guard for them. And I think the Hornets as well. I think the Hornets had a good draft, picking Knipple in the top 3. And then they got Kalkbrenner and Silent James. So 2 guys I had in my, first round on my big board in the second round. So it's pretty good value for them there. So I think immediately to start, definitely the Hornets and then the Spurs are the 2 big winners in my book.
But I want to go back to the Spurs because it's interesting you said that. They used both of their picks, and we heard a lot of rumors that the Spurs were going to try to go to speed things along. Wembanyama's ready. We're going to try to go. And them taking 2 guys, to me, seems like we'll see what they do in free agency. But if they're committing to youth, as it appears, I still feel like it'll be a couple years before they're competitive. What are those guys ready now players? Or are they typical? It's going to take a little bit before they're scary.
I think Carter Bryant's probably more plug and play than Harper. I think Harper's going to take some development to get up to speed as being one of the better guards, in the West. But Harper, I'm really high on his long-term outlook. As a guy who can play next to Wembanyama, I think he's going to really be a great setup man for him in the pick and roll. But yeah, I think those moves do single about more of a long-term kind of development than immediately competing, which kind of makes the Fox move a bit questionable, I think, at this time.
Yeah, I'm also just not that much of a Fox guy, especially how you saw the stuff everybody said about him when he left. All his teammates seemed to hate him.
Yeah. Not good.
Not good.
In a team sport.
But they also have so many options at guard spot, like Stephon Castle. They have Fox. Like, they have people that they have out there now. They have backup options, so you don't even have to have these players good right now.
Yeah.
But you have Wemby, who you hope to be incredible for the next decade plus. Yeah. And then you have these other young guys that are alongside with them. So, like, the Spurs, they were incredible. Like, they truly were.
We'll see. I mean, the West is tough, so we'll see if they're actually incredible, when it matters on the court. But let's get to the Nuggets news here. They did not make a pick in the first round. Of course, they didn't have one. They would have had to have traded in. They did not make a second-round pick. Not that surprising. I thought it was maybe possible if they made some moves. I know I saw Ben Tenzer's talking to the media now. Brendan Vogt will join us later. I know there were some things they were working on. But they added a two-way guard, Tamar Bates, out of Mizzou. Stan Kroenke's Mizzou. Just making a point there. But they signed a two-way guy, Tamar Bates. What can you tell me about this guy, CT?
Yeah, Bates was part of a pretty good Missouri team this year that went to the NCAA tournament. An older player. Was in college for all 4 years. Transferred from Indiana to Mizzou. He averaged 13 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. So not really much of a playmaker, more of a score-first guard. But he was 50, 40, 90 this year on 131 attempts from 3.
Wow.
So pretty impressive. Pretty impressive shooting the basketball.
How many is that per game?
It's a lot. Like per game.
I think it's probably around like 4
or 5
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But more of a score-first guard. Kind of similar to like Trey. Trey is Alexander's more of a score-first guard as well. But good that they kind of targeted a guard who's more scoring. I think they need some creation in the backcourt, so I think that's a good move on the periphery.
Is he? An older guy makes a little bit of sense. If you're taking a two-way, you're really not looking for long-term. Just is this a guy that we could play if we get into a pinch? So maybe it hints a little bit at what the Nuggets are viewing in the future with their point guard. Like, hey, we might just need some depth there, so we're not sure about the guy we're going to go with. But you said Trey Alexander. Is it similar, kind of a slower, footwork type guy, fall away type guy? Like, how does he score his points?
Yeah, I think Bates is a little more explosive than Trey. Trey's more, a little more methodical, getting to his spots in the pick and roll and in the mid range. I think Bates is a guy who can shoot pull up threes. He's a bit more versatile of a shot creator. At the pick and roll and at shooting that pull up as well. So I think a bit more athletic as well than Trey. So I'd say similar, more score first, but I think a good pick though at this this point in the two-way process.
So you kind of like this guy. You're kind of intrigued by him a little bit.
Yeah, I think he could be a plug-and-play, kind of player. If you need some scoring in a pinch off the bench, I think you can put him out there and, see what he could do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking here, and it says that one of his strengths is, like, he's a solid perimeter defender. Was that something that was on display while he was at Missouri?
Yeah, I think he's going to be more 3-and-D in the league. He's not really like a point guard type. He's more of a, off-the-dribble scorer. But, yeah, I do think defensively, especially against Florida, against Walter Clayton in that game, he was pretty good defensively guarding him, had the assignment defending Clayton in that game. So I think the offense is probably more of, ahead than the defense, but I do think in a pinch he could be a pretty decent perimeter defender.
Does sound like a nugget. Are you more confident than him than you were Trey Alexander? Because you liked Trey Alexander last year. That was kind of your guy. So is this sim situation? How would you rate them?
Similar situation. I think I was higher on Trey than Bates. I think both of those guys, I think in the backcourt, you're going to have a lot of scoring, especially in Summer League. That's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, I'd say I was higher on Trey just because I think Trey was more of he was a better passer than Bates. I think pretty similar defensively. I'd probably give the edge to Bates there, but Trey a better passer, so I'd probably give him the edge.
And then what are some other names? I mean, Denver's going to fill out in more 2-ways and maybe some Exhibit 10s. Are there other names you have that you're kind of hoping Denver grabs?
Yeah, I saw Philly signed Hunter Salas. So that was a guy that I wanted for Denver. Former teammate of Julian Strawther, funny enough, at Gonzaga. RJ Lewis is a guy that I think would be really good for Denver. Played at St. John's this year, was a second-team All-American, Big East Player of the Year. Versatile forward, really good defender at 6'7", great athlete. Hit or miss shooting the ball, but I do think his defense is more ahead of the offense at this point, and I think the Nuggets need some, taller wing defenders, within that 2-3 spot. I think he'd be a good pick there. And then Eric Dixon, a guy from Villanova, really versatile, big man scorer, good shooter, can self-create a little bit off the dribble too. So if they were looking for more of a big, I think Dixon would be a good pick. And then Dylan Cardwell from Auburn. Played beside Janai Broom, who went to the Sixers. Really versatile defender. Pretty good touch around the rim as well. So I think those 3 guys, I don't think they were signed yet, would be pretty decent fits, off the 2-way market.
How much of those picks for you are Nugget specific versus those are just the guys you think are best who are kind of available?
Yeah, I think a guy like Lewis is best available. But I also do think he would actually fill a role for the Nuggets. As a cutter, really good perimeter defender, guy who can self-create a little bit. Really good leap from his junior year to senior year at St. John's, going from, a cog on the team to a guy who's the face of St. John's, and their kind of rise to winning the Big East this year. And then Cardwell's a guy too, I think would be a good defender. The Nuggets need some, guys who are versatile in the front court defensively. And I think we fill a role as a decent passer, guy who has some touch around the rim as well. And Dixon's more self-creating. So I think the Nuggets, they do need some front court, help in that regard as far as, creators, guys who can get their own shot. So I'd say probably more for self-creation in that aspect.
Yeah. All right. Well, CT, we'll let you hang tight here for a little bit. We have Brendan Vogt, who just arrived. He was at Ball Arena. He heard Ben Tenzer address the media, so we'll get to him in a second. Did you have something?
Well, we were just going to say that this segment was brought to us by Shady Rays. The future is bright. We've got the. It's
a very
logo.
good point. Our feature here, as we talked about Tamar Bates. Tamar Bates? Is that what you said?
Tamar Bates.
That was The Future is Bright. Presented by Shady Rays, of course. You get 35% off your polarized shades if you use the code DNVR at shadyrays.com. CT, thank you so much, man, for calling in. I think we'll have you back on because I'm guessing there'll be more movement. But stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds
Thanks
good.
so much. So the Nuggets take a point guard.
Interesting.
With their 2-way. They have Pickett. We wonder if they're going to go into the year. Trey Alexander, could be part of the team. Then you still have, now you have this guy. I wonder if that is a signal that they're like, hey, we don't know who it's going to be, but we're going to have guys there. We don't want to spend on it with our 3 roster spots.
Yeah, but this doesn't seem to be like a traditional point guard. Like, it seems like he's a scoring off-ball guard. So more of a backup Christian Brown or like the 2-way spot. It doesn't seem like a point guard. They already have, there. But there is the option. You do want to put him there. Also, just looking at it, it looks like he plays a little bit of wing. He is a bit undersized, so he's not going to be able to be that in the NBA. But, yeah, this is not your traditional point guard. And he's a score-first guy that does have the defensive chops and things like that. So, yeah, I think it's more of that.
And you got to think like anyone that's been on the team to this point is now no longer has anyone in their corner.
Yeah.
This is not Trey Alexander doesn't have he's not anybody's guy.
Right. Hopefully we're just done with that.
But Jalen Pickett isn't anybody's guy. So perhaps this is an indication that the new front office conglomerate is not in on either of those players. Maybe they're interested in, or it's just smart to get depth in that place because that's an area that the Nuggets are very shallow.
Maybe he is the only. We're one of 2. This is another Missouri guy.
I was going to say
they have there. Like, there has to be some type of connection there. But it is like, they get to come into the season, come into the summer league with the actual chance to prove themselves.
Yeah.
I really think that, like Trey Alexander, he'll play in summer league and be able to get that option. This guy's going to go in there and get that option. So, like, there's a real chance here.
Well, we'll have to start scouting this guy, see what he's about. Summer League is 2 weeks away from today. Dev and I are going to be there. Possibly
Let's do
D-line too.
I'm
TBD.
going. I'm going.
You're in. You already threw your hat in the ring. So
I'm throwing
you
my-
were out 30 minutes ago. And in that time, it's no longer a question. You're all the way in.
I was never out.
You were 1 foot in.
I was never asked. Of course I'm going. I love Summer League. I like two things. I like two things a year.
Serbia and
one
Summer
of them
League?
is not even my birthday. I like not. One of them is definitely not Christmas. I like the one Friday where nobody bothers me a year, and then
that's so good.
Summer League.
Yeah. I'm going to bother you in Summer League.
Good.
Buffets.
Let's go.
Blackjack.
I'm going. Dude. I'll pay my own way. I don't care.
Let's do it, man. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, Brendan Vogt was down at Ball Arena to hear about all the moves the Nuggets didn't make. We'll get to that on the other side.
Oh, right. That's cake. All right. I mean, I see you, Adam, giving his typical, can you believe this guy shrug? Can you believe this guy? Listen, did I mention that I woke up in Belgrade today?
That's true.
And I can barely
help
say
you out
anything.
with the beginning of this, so you want to bring it
Listen,
home.
Cake. What is Cake? Cake is the business owner's home mortgage partner for non-QM loans.
Here's what I'll tell people about Cake Mortgage, okay? They're a mortgage lending company, and I know a lot of people. I was in mortgages. People don't know this. I was in real estate, so I was
We all
around
know it
mortgages
now.
for 10 years. The number one thing, the reason people could not get qualified for a home loan was
Right.
because they were self-employed. Sometimes made a ton of money.
Right.
But when you're self-employed, you try not to show a lot of money. You
Right.
invest your profits back into your company or what have you. So you know all these people that had all these things, and they'd be like, "How come I can't buy a house? I'm doing well."
Yeah.
Cake Mortgage, and I'm not kidding when I say this. I ran into so many deals that fell apart for that exact reason. And I always wish there was a Cake Mortgage around back then. Well, now there is. So if you have ever tried to get a home, and I'm a huge advocate for people owning their home. If you've ever tried to get a home loan but were denied because you're self-employed and it's hard to get the taxes and everything to line up, Cake Mortgage is an expert in this very problem. They have a product specifically for it, but they also emphasize it. So if you've been discouraged in the past about this, give them a call.
Yeah.
You will likely qualify, and they can walk you through every step of the process.
Absolutely. So head to the link. It's at cakehome.com, and Cake Mortgage Corp, equal housing lender, MMLS number 1734623, licensed in Colorado by the Division of Real Estate. Terms and conditions apply. Cake Mortgage. And then also, I just lost.
This was a travel day for D-Line. He's being a champ doing this.
Dude, listen. Okay. Yeah, Empire Today.
There
Everybody
it
knows
is.
about Empire Today. 100, 580, 2, 300, Empire. Everybody was raised, I feel like, by Empire Today ads on TV. And just like your favorite team needs a home court / field / ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. You don't want to go to those big box stores. What are you going to buy there? Boxes? What do these people know about? There's an old man. There's an old man wearing an apron, shuffling around. He doesn't want to talk to you. His name's Walt. He knows only about bolts and screws. He doesn't know about flooring. You want to get a hold of the professionals at Empire Today. They have they come into your home, they take a picture of the environment, and then they just do they use AI? Do they use a wizard? I don't know.
Bro, I did that to see what my hair would look like long.
What? And you're still growing it.
You got to see the picture. It was incredible.
I gotta see it. But everybody knows about Empire Today. They did our floor here. We're big fans. And if you schedule today, you can get a free in-home estimate because some things are better at home. DNVR listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code DNVR. Yes, you heard right. $350 discount with code DNVR. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire Today /DNVR for full details.
Alrighty, and now we go live to Ball Arena where Brendan Vogt is waiting. He was waiting patiently there tonight for nothing to happen. And there he is. He was waiting patiently. Vogt, did you at least get some pizza or something?
Oh, yeah. How was the pizza?
The pizza was actually the first dairy that I've had in like 3 weeks.
Two flexes, pizza party, and
let's
no
try to
dairy.
get through this before that kicks in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We did hear from the respective executive vice presidents of basketball operations and player personnel, Ben Tenzer and John Wallace. And I asked right off the bat, obviously you enter the night without a draft pick. What's the logic in not being aggressive in acquiring one and not making a selection? And John Wallace told us it just didn't make much sense to catch draft fever tonight, given where the roster is at right now. And I think we've outlined that well, fellas, on our respective draft shows. That's not to propagandize inaction, but would drafting your late lotto project really be what this team needs? I would say no. Certainly seems like that was the front office's thinking. Having said that, Ben Tenzer elaborated. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I love that he called it draft fever.
Yeah.
Because I honestly think it's a real phenomenon, is that you get into this night and you're like, we don't need a pick. We don't have that many. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I gotta have a pick. Deals are flowing.
I feel like our old friend Tim Connolly is a guy that catches draft fever sometimes, for sure. Yeah, this front office did not. We did hear from Ben Tenzer. He said, quote, he said that they were close to, quote, moderately close to making a few deals. That's a typical quote you hear, I think, after something like that. But ultimately, Denver did not make a selection. Deron Holmes II is confirmed for Summer League per Ben Tenzer. He's actually the only player on the roster right now, according to Ben Tenzer. Obviously, Tony Jones put out the report that Tamar Bates is being signed to a two-way contract. He did not speak on that. They did say that some of the guys from last year should be back, however. As far as how the Nuggets are going to operate next week, Ben Tenzer said that the Nuggets are, quote, more likely to focus on free agency than trades right now, end quote. So a little bit candid there into Ben Tenzer, from Ben Tenzer into the process. A lot of the reaction online is with what money? They don't have much. It will be with those exceptions like we've talked about all summer. Again, just more evidence to file away under the folder of, I don't think they're going to be making a lot of fireworks this summer, fellas.
This team is running it back, man. I hope that those three guys they signed in free agency are at least mildly compelling.
We can only hope so, fellas. We know what the fan reactions will be if otherwise. But ultimately, it's going to come down to how they use those selections, guys. We know what the top five look like. We know what the issue is with regards to depth and health. We know the Nuggets are limited to a mid-level exception, the taxpayer mid-level exception, and the two veteran minimums. That's their chance. That's their window to improve this roster and improve the depth. Until those signings are made, I think expect basically, more or less the same roster we've seen.
Is that the entire report from tonight? I know there was nothing to talk about, so literally anything they said would have been extra.
I could also clarify, guys, that Ben Tenzer clarified the Nuggets are not trading Jokic.
Okay, was that part of this? Okay, good, yeah.
It was. He did urge everyone to go back and re-listen to the quote because he said that's not really what Josh said. Respectfully, it's exactly what Josh said.
No,
I
he
understand
said
what
15.
I understand what Ben's trying to say there. They're not going to trade Jokic. That's the organization's official position on that.
This is the thing the Nuggets have to learn, though. They always get mad of like, oh, the media or this or that. It's like, guys, no, you have to learn how this works on your side too. Like we know he didn't say that, but the clip is out there. This is how it works, man.
I would love to have not commented on it. I would love to have not put it out there. It was a press conference and it was said. So that's how it works. Ultimately, the Nuggets are doubling down on the most obvious thing. They're not trading Jokic.
Yeah. Was there, though, you just mentioned it was Ben Tenzer. All those quotes, you referenced Ben Tenzer. Was John Wallace up there?
Yeah, I gave you one quote from John Wallace, which was about the draft fever. So John Wallace was up there. Since you're asking, though, I think ultimately Ben did seem to handle most of the questions. I would say that's my anecdotal, immediate kind of observation on that. But John did answer a few. And that quote, draft fever, does come from him.
But it's also just noteworthy that a lot of organizations have a president of basketball or operations and a GM, and it's rare that they both go out together. I mean, usually it's still only one. So that's why this is a unique setup. They're both VEEPs. And I just wonder if they'll always be dual press conferences. I'm wondering.
Well, certainly we know that one image the organization would like to promote is that there's synergy here. So I would say that as long as there's synergy, I actually expect them to do it this way, and we'll see how they sort of delegate what types of answers, what types of questions are answered by whom.
That's so interesting. Like, that's really going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And, actually you'll find out one guy likes talking more than the other one, and then it'll just be for us to surmise sort of like what the dynamic is looking like. Oh man, I can't wait. We're gonna be putting stuff on this organization. We're gonna be reading into things. It's gonna be great.
How many people were there tonight, by the way?
The regulars, the playoff crew, Vinny, Bennett, Ryan, Matt Brooks, and our guys, and of course the altitude crew. So just the everydayers from last season.
Yeah. All righty. Well, Vogt, good stuff, man. Great report from the arena. What a couple of days of draft, man. Hey, take a load off. Go home and take a load off, man.
All right, fellas, don't work too hard over there.
Eat some dairy.
Some dairy.
I do think that is something to think about, because I know we're going to read into it a lot, or maybe it'll be like with them having to split.
Totally.
I don't know if it's going to be just we're going to switch off, but like, hey, if it has something to do with like player development, we're going to have one guy talk. If it has something to do with like roster construction, we're going to have the other guy talk. Like, because they're a little bit, I would feel they're going to be a bit more comfortable in those type of settings.
What if they only give co-interviews?
I mean, I could see it.
Me too.
I could totally see it.
That's a lot though for the whole year. I would assume you would want to like keep one back, keep one there.
Yeah, but then you'll start reading into
Should we
which
come
guy
up with
is which.
one name for them?
Oh, what do we work with? Yeah, we should. Genzer. Johnzer?
Johnzer? Maybe.
Maybe we should give
Johnzer,
it some time
Genzer.
so you can think about it.
Hold on, we can get it. Wenzer? Ben Wallace?
Ben Wallace. What did Ben Wallace have to say tonight?
Ben Wallace is pretty good there.
Ben Wallace.
It is kind of interesting, though. The team, what I like, though, I don't think the team ever had plans to do anything in the draft.
No, of course not.
And, well, I don't think that's of course not. Because at the draft, some of the things you could have done was try to trade Peyton Watson or try to get off Zeke, and maybe we have to include something else because there are salary cap implications.
Bro, but here's the other part is that, like, it's Ben Wallace's first day on the job.
Hey, well,
he just showed
no, it's just John Wallace's. Ben Tenzer.
No, but it's Ben Wallace's first day on the job. They just show up and they just start wrecking stuff. He doesn't even know where his parking place is.
From the quote, though, or at least from Vogt's telling us about the quote, it really does seem like, 3 guys they're going to sign in free agency, not even trade market. What are you going to get from free agency? There's not that many free agents. Denver doesn't have any money to spend. So, it really does sound like the roster is not getting help from a major piece. You hope Bruce Brown, but it might be like a Mason Plumlee.
Yeah, it might be, but also what that is saying is that there is going to be a shakeup because there's so many conversations and people making the comments of they're going to run it back. He basically said we are not just running it back. There is going to be somebody that's off. It's not going to be a huge one, but him saying that they're going to go into a free agency goes to show we are wanting to make moves. So I think that
But free agency is just adding. Free agent, if you were trading, I would say yes. That's
for sure.
Trading for other guys. But if you're saying I would expect us to be more active in free agency than trades, it's like we're more just going to add 3 guys to our roster somehow.
Yeah, that'll be. Yeah, that's not a lot of movement.
That's not a lot.
But it's the right move. It's the right kind of movement, I think.
So that is running it back, but just with a couple of extra pieces.
You don't want to trade for the sake of trading, of course.
Right.
But if you told me you're signing these guys, they're not good guys.
Well, they're not good guys, but maybe they're good guys in the context of the role that they're being asked to play. You make a trade to make a big splash to affect your starting lineup, right? Trades and stuff, generally speaking, are for players that have big implications for the main construct of the squad. And the Nuggets don't need to mess with their starting 5. They just don't. And frankly, they shouldn't.
But it's not about that. I'm talking more. I'm talking about bench guys because here's what I'm looking at. I like starting 5 too. I think it's actually a championship caliber. Julian Strawther, Peyton Watson. You have 7 guys. Now you have Jalen Pickett. If we're going to count him, that's 8. I think to get through a regular season, you need 10 guys. They have De'Ron Holmes. They have Zeke Naj. If you're counting on that, forget health. Forget if anybody misses a month or anything else. That's what you're betting on. And either you try to trade a Peyton Watson or Julian Strawther either to try to get back a couple guys. They're saying that's probably not the route. We're going with these guys and we're going to sign veteran minimum players to round out the roster. And I just don't think veteran minimum players are like, I don't know that Denver's going to find 2 or 3 guys to make a 10-man regular season rotation.
Yeah, but can you answer that on draft night though? Like you wouldn't have did it today. So like I feel like in a way he kind of was pushed into saying like we didn't get it today. We're gonna try to obtain it in a different way. And I mean that doesn't make it Bible. They still could very well make it. That is true.
And it's just a guy talking right now.
Like, you know, he is like just talking, but also they need more. They want more.
Yeah. Well, let's take a break. On the other side, there were some other takeaways from the draft that don't necessarily have anything to do with the Denver Nuggets. But it will be a little bit of fun to talk about. So we'll do that on the other side.
Well, I want to tell you guys about Bet365. Bet365 is an official partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. We all know about Bet365. Dev knows especially about Bet365. I would say Bet365 knows about Dev. He's the reason that they probably
they definitely know about
probably
Dev.
Some layoffs came in around town. We use it every game night to set and play along. Just a couple bucks here or there, make it a little bit more fun. As an official partner of the Denver Nuggets, Bet365 really powers a lot of what we do around here, and so we are very grateful to them. With the Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up by 20 points. Obviously, the basketball
next
season
year
is
the
over.
Nuggets are a team that goes up by 20.
They never do go up by 20.
But that was under Malone. David Adelman.
It's a new day.
He's just a run-it-up guy.
He might be a run-up-the-score guy.
Just the Adel man. We talk about bringing the battle axe man. But you get an instant payout if your team goes up by 20 points for straight bets or parlay selections marked as winners. So you download the app, use the code DNVR365 when you sign up. New customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet simply $5, win or lose. You sign up, use the code DNVR365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bet. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, total, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. And finally, you may be able to hear. Can you hear the din of the cacophony of joy coming from downstairs? This is a Volo night here at the DNVR Bar. These are people meeting one another. They're doing a little something I like to call socializing. It's not something I do, but others I've heard about it. They seem to be enjoying themselves every weekday or certain nights of the week. Thursdays they come in after their kickball games. They play beer pong. They play flip cup. It's a lot of fun. So Volo is Denver's most popular provider of adult social sports league, pickup games, and events. Sports offered include soccer, volleyball, pickleball, kickball, baseball, cornhole, and many more. Playing the Volo is a great way to meet new people, make friends, come to the DNVR Bar, get sloshed, stay or get more active in a fun way, mix it up after your work routine. You can play in Lodo, Rhino, Highland, City Park, Cherry Creek, South Broadway, and more. Players can sign up as a free agent, a small group, or a full team, and all ability levels and backgrounds are welcome to join. Use code DNVR10 for $10 off any Volo Denver league.
Alrighty, we are back here, segment 3. Before we get into too many other things here real quick, I will say this. This is my 12th draft I think I've covered. It ranks number 12.
Yes. Dude, I mean, like, what?
What does?
This draft ranks number 12 of the 12 drafts I've covered for the Denver Nuggets.
Did the other 12 at least get a single pick?
Every single one.
This is rare. Like, this is a rare spot. It's difficult explaining to people who are not really in it that you're one of the only teams that had picks. Nothing at all.
Nothing doing. Nothing
just
going.
Explaining it. It's like, what? Everyone has a pick.
No.
Nuggets did not.
No, doesn't have a pick. Not a surprise, but it was one of those things. And I will say this, broadly speaking, the draft also just felt small in general. I don't know if the NBA is losing its luster, if it's my perspective, probably a little bit, as I grow this long, flowing white hair.
Oh, my God, dude.
But it does feel like the trades are starting earlier. The trades are the bigger story than even the draft a little bit. But this one, to me, most boring one ever. I will ask, though, Kadev, because we haven't got your take. Nuggets hired a GM. Well, did not hire a GM. They hired 2 VPs.
They hired ex-Defensive Player of the Year Ben Wallace.
Yeah, Ben Wallace. What do you make of that decision? Kind of what's your perspective on what you've been seeing?
I mean, I am very confused about the configuration of having the 2 guys and like why you would want to do that, especially if you were already going into a spot where the head coach was getting it with a GM. Now you're adding 2 people that you're arguing. I think that was maybe a reason they tried to play into it of saying like, now we can have one that makes this decision when one looks at this, so you're not too in the weeds. But also, it is a bit confusing. I do like the fact that they brought in somebody that they are familiar with in John Wallace, where he was part of where other players clearly liked him. Before, you wouldn't make that type of decision of saying, we're going to bring back a guy that went and played on a team. I mean, that went to an organization that you were really in competition with, to this like standard. So that like shows that the organization likes him, respects him, the players like him and respect him. So I like that aspect. The Tenzer one is like the one I think that confuses a lot of people because it's an inside hire. He was already with the organization and you want to shake up, you want to change, you want there to be some type of difference. But they were like, no, we're not going to be that, and that's what the Nuggets have been. We're not making that many changes. This is our guy. This is what we're going to stick with. So I think that it's you have to be optimistic. This is what you have in front of you now. But it's confusing to me and a lot of fans and people that are, on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I having had, a little time to sort of ruminate on this and think about what it looks like. I mean, I like the idea that you have like a keen basketball mind in John Wallace, and you have theoretically a keen sort of business mind, maybe
Maneuver.
A little bit. Yeah, maybe somebody who's more in line with the insane number of rules of constructing an NBA roster. Somebody who kind of can work around the more mechanical, less exciting parts of what it is to run a front office. And so, like, you're telling me that's a right and left brain coming together to create together a brain trust that you can believe in. I can buy that. I mean, I can buy that theory. Obviously, I don't know anything about these guys other than, the brief interview that I found online, and I think both guys seem cool. Like, I'd like to hang out with. I want to hang out with them.
I will say that. I think both guys are a good hang.
Totally. Is that?
I don't know what that's worth.
You would be elected president if somebody wants to have a beer with you. But
that's true.
I'm willing. I mean, I don't know what choice I have, but like, I am open to the idea that just based on track record, the way that the Cronkies have gone about filling their front office, it always is the cheap way. It always is like oh my God, like, come on, man, like, take a freaking swing here, like, step up, like, show us that you care. And a lot of that is expressed through monetary ways, generally speaking. Like, the fan base just like looks at big outlays of cash as a way of an owner showing that he cares. But the Cronkies have a way of they're good at this. They are. So I just have to.
They find good executives. Not just on the Nuggets.
They do.
Across.
I said it earlier, and I remain steadfast in this belief that I don't love the. In fact, I'll say I hate the idea that they are including on-the-job training for a GM conglomerate that is in charge of Nikola Jokic's most precious years. But I mean, beyond that, like, I'm willing to give it a chance.
So,
I don't know what choice I have.
Here, though, Eric, and for you, Dev, as well, but this is my big takeaway from this draft, from this season, and from this moment in time, and it all is the same takeaway. We are in the era of the GM, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is there's this new CBA that is so completely different than anything we've seen in 30 years. The NBA is revolutionized by the CBA, and it was almost under-discussed when it came out, because it was like, oh, they got a new deal. There's no strike. Let's everybody kind of move on. And it was like, no, the new deal they have is so different. And I know one of the things to consider is who has experience operating now? You hire, because you're like, we're entrusting Jokic's prime to somebody, well, not with experience, go out and spend. But who has experience navigating this? I don't think anybody does. And I thought for the longest time, Dev, there were no more dumb GMs in the NBA. We had like a 5, 6, 7 year run where it just felt like nobody was really dumb. that era is over. There are some dumbasses out there running teams right now, including down in New Orleans, who made a crazy trade trading their next year's first-round pick, which might be the number 1 pick, in a very deep draft to move up 10 spots in this year's very shallow draft. That, even if you think that they have the right guy, that's horrible asset management. I think this new CBA is so complex that now the dumb GM is back, and I swear to God, I hope these guys are not in that category. I don't think they are, but
I mean, the times have changed, and people have tried to adapt, and I think that we've also even seen people that have tried to get ahead of the curve or to try to get cute or different in the way that they draft, in the way that they see the CBA playing out. I think Calvin Booth was one of those guys that was like, I'm going to try to revolutionize it, or I'm going to try to get ahead before anyone else. And I think a lot of GMs are doing that right now, and you're seeing that in the New Orleans. You're seeing that clearly with the Phoenix Suns, who continue to look like they're not really that smart. So,
for sure.
Now you have a new situation that you're seeing right now with 2 guys. But also maybe that's why you go with the 2-guy approach, where one is just all I'm going to be into this, like the CBA, and be focused on just that, while you do the day-to-day and be with the players and things like that. So maybe that's why they make that decision. And now Ben Tenzer is like the most important guy in the Jokic era right now, because it really does change. But that is something to think about. And also you see it in this draft now, and I think that's maybe why you didn't feel like it was the same as years past. It felt like every single team did not own their pick.
Dude.
Every single team owed someone else. It was the IOU year. I'm like, so who did he go to?
I literally
don't know. Because of that CBA, I feel like made so many trades and picks and changes.
I swear to God, I've never seen any time in ESPN where they've more frequently thrown it to Bobby Marks. Let's go to Bobby Marks. You need the chalkboard guy to be. Well, if you could, it's gonna be. And you're we've gone Bob Meyer. The previous generation was the Bob Myers. You had to be cool and be you could
Bob Myers is cool. People always say that about Bob Myers, that he's cool, and I don't get it. He looks to me like he has so much dad energy. Yeah. My dad, my dad's
cool.
generation.
He's business guy cool.
Is he business guy cool to you? Am I the one that's
Bob
off
Myers?
on this? Yeah.
He's got sideburns.
It's kind of cool.
He's
not just straight nerdy.
Yeah, he's not Bobby Marks.
I think he is pretty dirty, but I guess I'm the outlier.
Well, I mean,
here.
you're talking about GMs. I mean, there's a pretty nerdy bunch.
That's a low bar.
I'm just
Bob Myers is was quarterback in high school, but never went further.
Yeah,
cool.
Dude. He threw out his shoulder, and could have been something. Whatever,
like that type of vibe.
Apparently,
let me know. Is Bob Myers cool?
I can't believe Adam doesn't want to hook up with Bob Myers like the rest of us. This is so weird. But my point being, there was just so much leeway before, and now decisions you make, the Celtics last year, everyone was they were lauded. Everyone's like, hey, they know what they're doing. They're going to the second apron fearlessly.
Yeah,
They're
totally.
keeping their team together. That's what a front office do. 1 year later, destruction.
Yeah, well, actually, I think they're fearless. It's they might not understand.
They might not. They just had to detonate their squad, destroy it. And so there are real implications here that are not just it's funny on a day like today because everyone's very emotional because the Nuggets didn't do anything, so it seems like the Nuggets suck. So
no way. If the Nuggets would have done something, I would have been so skeptical.
Oh my God! If they made just a trade to make a trade,
and they're help. Is it a 19-year-old?
Hey, we got Tobias Harris. We got Tobias Harris. All right.
Tobias Harris at least can play. I'm saying if it's a 19-year-old, we're wasn't drafted.
My point being, you can't be so willy-nilly. You can't just make moves. You have to be really smart, especially because the Nuggets are so close to that second apron, obviously, which is just debilitating, and you see what it does. It's really, there's so many factors at play, and it's going to be fascinating to see it play out. I am hopeful that they just make deft moves on the back end, which is obviously what they're going to have to do, but they're going to have to get the right 3 guys. Russell Westbrook last year, that signing, although maddening at times, was an absolute home run for that type of contract. If they got 3 Russell Westbrook level players at that level of money, that would be an unbelievable upgrade to their bench. They would be immediately a better as a team, and I would be a lot more confident about where they sit. Right now, we're just playing out the previous philosophy, which was like, we got to draft a bunch of young guys and then let them get better. And some of the guys have, and some of the guys haven't, and now we're sort of left like, all right, like...
Yeah, but I think the free agents are like bowl. You know, like if you're talking about vet minimum free agents, then it's not...
You never know. I mean,
you never know.
Because the Warriors convinced like David West to come over. Like guys that like just had been bouncing around the league.
Maybe
for a
that's
long
John
time.
Wallace's skill set, you know? Like
This
maybe
is what I'm
that's part
saying.
of it
Like there's a lot... This is where the art part of it comes in, where you can sort of pitch a guy on a big picture. There's a lot of things that you can point to when you're talking to a potential free agent. Like, look at, man, we just got Bruce Brown an unbelievable amount of money. We just got Russell Westbrook out of the absolute garbage, and then he's going to sign with a new team. And you can pitch guys on things like that, and you get to play along Nikola Jokic, and there's a good chance you could be playing for an NBA Finals.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we will see how it goes. I'm still blown away by this. Bob Myers is cool, though.
I mean, I think that you feel threatened by him.
I know I do. I wasn't before.
Like,
no,
you
I'm
and
threatened as a
Bob
cool
Myers
guy.
are-
I will
You-
say, Adam, you're on an island here. The chat, Dev, Eric, and I all agree.
But I think
That
Adam,
Bob Myers is cool.
He's not
Yeah,
cool,
the chat-
but he's
not
like
cool, but like cool vibes.
he's like a cool guy. But I think you and him occupy the same kind of cool guys. Where like you both put on a.
I am not cool, so
But I know, but like you both. have a
okay, all right. He's
collared
cool.
shirt
Like
on.
I'm cool. I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
it now. I
You
got
see
it
what
now.
I'm
He's
saying?
cool
And
like
you're
I am.
looking at him like,
Yeah.
all right, Bob.
All right,
we'll
he's,
see.
He's cool the way I'm cool. That's a high bar of coolness. Man, I had another thought that we went really long on that one.
Sorry.
There was one other.
Are we doing a break, or can I ask?
There's
a
a
question?
no break. Go for it.
Okay, so my question is, like in the past, on draft night, you would look at a player that they pick up, and then you would say like, this is the direction that the team is headed. Do you do that with a two-way option, or do you think they got the best option for them right now? Or do you look at that and say like, you know, they picked up Tamar Bates. He seems to be an offensive guy that, you know, score first, a bit undersized for that position. Like, do you look at it the same and say like, you know what I mean? Like, because I feel like based off of last year, you need a defensive option. You need someone that you could step in and stop a guy. They didn't go with that option. Do you buy into that the same way when it's a two-way option only?
They might need scoring though. I mean, if you're thinking of like, how do you use your two ways is kind of what you're getting at here. Because if you're saying that they didn't make a pick, yes, I think that was the right thing. If they made a pick, I would have been much more skeptical than them not making a pick. But then the second part of this is Tamar Bates was the two-way, the first two-way kind of to fall. And I look at that and I go, you could either use your two-way as a prospect, like, hey, this guy could be really good long-term, so let's see if he is. Or you could use them as, we need depth in the regular season. Is this guy good enough? He's probably not here for long, but is he good enough to give us 3 games if we're short a couple point guards, or just need scoring off the bench? And it sounds like, based on what CT Fazio told us, it sounds like he's a guy that maybe could step in and, you know, plays 12 minutes and gives you 6 points because he knows how to score. And in that way, I'm like, yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. With Trey Alexander or any other two-way option, especially with the Nuggets, I know it was like the old regime and things like that, but they had two-way options that eventually ended up on the team and became part of the actual team. Torrey Craig, Monte Morris.
Yeah.
So
But that was in a rebuilding era of the Nuggets. That was early Jokic era, so it made sense to make long-term plans. But right now, there's no need to go find these guys. It's like, hey, we don't have very many playable guys. Maybe a two-way guy can give us 10 games.
Okay, so that answers it. It's not the same of like, let's look into this. They're not caring as much about this aspect. You know, like maybe there's people that say they should have got a backup, you know, center or big man or all defensive guy. You don't look at it in the same way.
Well, they still have 2 more two-ways, so I do think that it would be smart for them to... What I would say is I look at the two-way contracts, for me, I look at it for this team as depth. Playable depth this year, not prospects for the future. Denver's out of that zone.
You can't be... I mean, frankly, if you're picking up...
They need Jay Huff that year. He was on a two-way. It was actually he was never used that way, but he should have been you know what, F it. We're shorthanded. Play him for 3 games so Yo can rest.
And I mean, this is the other thing, is we're going to find out what David Adelman's philosophy is and like way he actually manages his roster. If a guy like Jay Huff or... any of the other litany of centers that have come through this place would actually get some meaningful playing time and would get put in position where they were actually able to succeed. I just we were talking about this. These are the names that have been bouncing around. It's like, to me, if the Nuggets were able to convince both Bruce Brown and Larry Nance Jr. to come to play on some kind of exception, like that to me, like, fits that mold of where the Warriors were.
To me, that would be a home run.
Yes,
I
agree.
I think that that's a little wishful thing. I do think
of course it's wishful thinking, but I'm wishing.
Yeah,
that's what I want to happen.
But what I'm saying is, given their circumstance, I would be surprised if they were able to do that. I think it's more likely to be Mason Plumlee, and Bruce Brown, and then maybe another. I mean,
Mason Plumlee's not a terrible. He's a good player still.
And DeAndre Jordan,
Well, DeAndre Jordan, they can't re-sign me at DeAndre.
I'm just saying a guy that we don't look at as, that could work. It's like a guy. I mean, DeAndre Jordan, if he was brought back for whatever reason, the idea would be more he's never playing unless Jokic is hurt or out or whatever, and then he gives you one game. So Jokic, it's no other reason for him to be there. He had a few games like that this year where it was like, one good game in a row. All right, go take another 2 weeks off.
Yeah, but you need more than that. I feel like you want to get playable guys. Like, that's really what it's about, is how do I buy more time? How do I not allow the Nuggets players to have to play too many minutes? Can this player take a night off here and they still possibly win the game, or still in the game? So I think that actually does matter.
Yeah. The last thing we're going to get into here, just a little bit of fun.
Get some more Justin Holidays.
I mean, that again, yes, that is the type of guy you could probably get.
And there's a million of those guys.
We're about to find out, because that is what Denver's going to spend. So we will find out if that is true.
Bring back in Carlik Jones. You know what I mean?
Chris Johnson?
Chris Johnson, dude. He was incredible in the Olympics. Like, there's so many people. Like, and I know that this is where they're going to be looking. Like, well, I know that there's players out there that can fill out a bench in a reasonable way.
Well, one phrase, I don't know if Nuggets fans caught this, that Josh Kroenke used several times, not once, several times, was, we have to find value in weird places.
Like Mizzou.
We're like, really? That was it? But it does hint to me of like, hey, maybe they are going to try to find another Facu.
I'm sure they are.
You know what I mean? Another guy that's in Europe, and he's 33 and he's just coming over to end his career. But he's a player, so we can do it.
Like a Vasa Micic.
The last thing I'll say is this draft, what I'll remember from it, I probably won't remember this, but one thing I could remember this if I wanted to. A lot of really nice necklaces.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's drip.
Dude, the drip was on fleek, was it not? That's something I picked
I
up
will
from Bob
say
Myers.
they looked very expensive, and then Dev pointed out, well, yes, this is the NIL era. And I'm sitting here, and there was one guy, I can't remember who it was. What was it?
Elijah Martin from Florida.
And he was asked about, it was a necklace, man, diamond necklace about that big. And he said it was just a little something me and my jeweler put together. But I'm thinking, man, this used to be the happiest day of everybody's life, because that was their first day. The paycheck isn't even in yet. These guys are coming in with millions of dollars behind them already. So much so that they can buy these giant jewelry. I don't even know what to say. It's called necklace.
Yeah. But really quick, like the way it was asked to him, like in the moment where typically you're like,
you're crying.
Yeah, you're like,
God.
What does this mean to you? You're like, everybody knows in my corner. It was just my mother and
exactly.
No one believed me. He's like, what's the story about that chain? He's like, that's something my jeweler and I put together. You're like, all right.
Yeah, but like the part that you're not even realizing, this is on day 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is the second day. These are guys that typically don't make a lot of money, but they have accomplished their goal, their lifelong goal, and they still have such a long way to climb and get out of. But the NBA has changed in that way, because years ago when you would watch, people were crying the entire time. There's like these crazy stories about their family and how much they've had to overcome, the adversity they went through, how they wouldn't have made it if they didn't get to this point. But you talk about it's the NIL deals. Like these people are already coming from money. They have a year or two of being a millionaire as a kid. So it's not the same way. Their parents already have a house that they've got them, and they were able to get those means. It was pretty crazy for you to hear about the jeweler already, but that's
got it,
probably
Jim.
not his first chain. You don't go after that on this.
I don't think you go right to that as your
That's
first
not
chain.
his first chain.
No,
but, like,
yeah,
it's
you would have been
different.
like, this is something and a jeweler and I put together.
Yeah, I got this at the jewelry
Also,
store.
a lot of these
I bought this
players,
piece of jewelry.
At like kiosk at the mall. You're like the middle guy.
a lot of these players
Tony.
also come from families that have money. One and two, their parents played or someone in
Yeah,
their
there's a
family
lot.
played in the NBA before. So like the times have just changed, like altogether.
Yeah. And I know some of this is just, different strokes, different folks. We all have our different things. But this led to us debating if we received a $3 million NIL deal, I would not have bought a chain. I don't know how much money I
You're
would
not
need.
cool like me or Bob Myers.
Bob Myers would have had a chain for sure. And then Dev was like, for sure you would have. And then we were trying to argue what we would spend. So if you had a $3 million NIL deal, but you were a second round pick. Not even a first
but it's
round
not.
pick.
But it's not that you just have $3 million. You have $3 million coming out of college, and you're an NBA prospect.
And you're an NBA prospect, but a second
changes.
rounder.
It changes, but you're not really a second round. You
In your
made
mind.
money before. You're
Okay.
a millionaire already. You had money. You took care of your family maybe last year, and also it's the
$1 million
times.
is not that much money though.
It is to a
more
kid
money than I've
in
ever
college.
seen in my
To
entire
a
A
life.
kid in college.
But I'm saying you can lose it if you buy a lot of jewelry.
They're not going through that. They're not thinking about that. They don't hear that.
All right.
Already. These are
So Superstar Dev would have had a jeweler.
absolutely would have had a jeweler. But also, like, if you look at all these college players right now, they all getting big diamonds. Like that's the times right now. It's just a lot different than what it used to be. That's the most popular thing right now for an athlete.
Deion Sanders would bring something like that out, and it was like, oh my God, the most exuberant athlete
I
ever.
know.
And now a second round pick.
Every single kid on
It's like-
Whose
CU
name- whose
has
name
a
we couldn't
crazy
remember.
big chain. I would buy that because I'm going to take care
You'd
of my
have chains.
parents.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course,
As
Dev
some-
would buy that.
I'm going to take care of my parents. I'm going to get a nice car. I probably already got a sponsorship of some sort to
Yeah.
get a nice car, so I don't have to pay for that. What am I going to pay for now?
You're all out of expenses at that point.
I don't have many
See,
more things to pay for.
I would get emancipated from my parents. I would live in a condo but it'd be reasonably priced.
Yeah, you would live in a nice little condo.
I'd have like a big a big TV, comfortable couch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be about $4,000.
These are still things I want, Dev.
It's hard for me to remember, man, that far back, but I don't think I could have spent that kind of money. I just don't think at that time of my life, man. I
You
was
would- you know
I
what
had
you would do?
$10 a week. I was so
You know what you would
Thrilled.
do? You and I, and we would probably go on trips with
Yeah.
friends. We'd be like, hey, I'm getting a house in Mexico.
yeah, spring break.
You
You're
don't
right.
have the
Spring
time for
break.
that.
You're like,
Spring
hey,
break
bring
would
your
be
jeweler,
incredible.
bring your
Don't
jeweler.
have the time for that. You're an athlete. You're around the clock. You're
Oh.
spending it on something dumb that's right now making you happy.
We have any super chats, Gil? Josh Barnett from Down Under. He says, 4 Aussies drafted tonight. We need Jack White 2.0. Bro, we were so heartbroken. Tim Conley took our 7'4" Aussie or whatever he is. We needed an Aussie.
We got nothing
We want to go to Australia so bad.
I know.
We have no reason to.
yet.
I mean, we have no reason to.
We
at
had
the
Jack
moment.
White. He got nothing out
Dude,
of
Jack White was my guy, man.
I know, dude. He was too cool.
Dude,
Him and Calvin Booth, they kind of it didn't work out.
that Aussie was like 7'3", 250.
He was
enormous.
that man was a boomer.
He was
Tim
huge.
Conley went and got him, right? He went to Minnesota. Didn't he go to
Yeah, I
Minnesota?
think so. We
They-
also seen a Serbian go.
Oh man, I know.
He was also
Markovic.
huge.
Yeah.
I would being just in Belgrade today or tomorrow, whenever it was, walking down that pedestrian mall. How casually everyone is just 6'5" and above. I'm just like, what is this place?
That's hilarious. Driz says we're not getting Trey Murphy, we're getting Micic. Oh man, exactly, Micic.
Yeah.
You know, maybe Micic is the guy we get.
Yeah.
What else we got? Josh Burnett from Down Under. He says, will D-Line get Bates into a shirt?
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, our two-way player, dude. Of course, I'll get him in a shirt.
We should nickname the master.
Oh yeah, dude. Absolutely. The two-way master. Bates.
Master Bates. Sean Croissant. Did we forget about Daron Holmes II?
I know. See, okay. Here's what other people
You only have
also
43
you don't want to
seconds. You
hear.
better hurry.
Till what? Oh, till overtime? Well, let's just wait till overtime.
F it. Let's go to overtime.
Overtime. Let's go.
Kale's like, really?
We're not on OTT
Okay.
today.
Well,
That's right. We're not on OTTs.
I told you this earlier.
yeah.
Get straight
well,
to
then
it.
what are we looking at the countdown for? What's even the point? We could have been swearing
Adam
this.
asked for it. I
We
don't
could have been
know.
swearing this whole
Oh,
time.
man. We could have done a 30-minute show.
I forgot what I was going to say.
You were going to talk about not Master Bates.
We already talked about the Australians.
Talk about that. Hold on. Let's get it. Don't end the show until we figure it out.
Deron Holmes.
He's
Holmes.
our draft pick.
Teron Holmes
Is
is
our
our
draft
draft
pick. There
pick.
it
We
is.
drafted Teron Holmes a second. I'm really excited about him. I mean, like, obviously we saw him play
Nice
for
young
one
man.
half of one basketball game. And he was like 3 for 3 from 3. He wasn't perfect, but he looked good. He was intriguing. Halliburton-esque. Halliburton.
But you know what? I think I do think we're gonna like this guy if he's good, which I just don't know. Obviously, with this or that. But if he's good, I think he will be a fan favorite because he really is. I think a very impressive young man. And so if he's any good, it'll be like, all right, let's latch on to that guy.
And I really think there's a chance. I mean, listen, like the Calvin Booth was very, very keyed in on Teron Holmes the second last year. As we all remember, he ended up having to trade up because he telegraphed it to the entire world that he was going to take him. But he was going to take him because he really saw something in him. And, say what you will about Calvin Booth, like,
he can scout.
He could scout, man. He got Christian. The guys that he got, nobody's an absolute flop to this point, save maybe Hunter Tyson.
Yeah. But I mean,
who
a
still has
second
time.
pick is like
Still
not
has
even a
time.
flop.
Yes. But I mean, and I don't know, like the team is going to look, even though we're quote unquote running it back, I think the team is going to look meaningfully different just because there'll be a bunch of new guys.
Yeah, and a new coach, which is really huge. All right, Kel, you can go ahead and hit that outro music. Everybody that watched today, you're a real one. Two rounds of a draft with no pick, and you're like, yeah, I'll check out what they have to say there.
I was like curious what we were going to say.
Are we the new Seinfeld?
A show about nothing?
Yeah.
A show about basketball about nothing? And one of us is going to go out in a super racist way.
Are we taking our bets on who it would be?
I don't know if
Gotta end
he's
the
on
show
show
here.
We all silly like the mayor.